welcome back. My name is Lexi Jong, and here I like to talk about luxury beauty. And today we are going to be doing an update on a couple of different makeup lines that are pretty new. So we've got Jones Road from Bobbi Brown. This is her new makeup line. It's a no makeup line, and I do have an initial review out from that, but these are some updated thoughts. And then also Byredo. So we are going to do a quick get ready with me using some products from both lines, and I'm going to share with you my updated thoughts. And I have been using them a lot, specifically the Jones Road Miracle Balm. I really wanted to test this one out a lot. And when I initially tried it, I didn't break the seal enough. So I definitely have now. And I have been using it for about a week now with the seal completely broken. And I've used it in a few different ways. So we'll talk about that and what my thoughts are. Let's go ahead and get started. Bobbi Brown's approach to makeup right now is to not really go in with a full face of makeup. So right now I have nothing on my face except skincare, and we're going to take the Chantecaille. This is the Real Skin Plus Eye and Face Stick, and I have shade 0W, and I'm going to apply this just in spots and kind of feather it out. So I have a lot of redness in my cheeks, so I'm going to use my fingers and kind of smooth this out. And I'm doing kind of like a tapping, rubbing motion. So I pretty much put a little bit of that almost everywhere, but I really kind of spread it out. So I'm just getting a very light coverage from this. For blush today, I'm taking the Givenchy Prisma blush. This is the shade Spice. I just happen to have it in the spring packaging that came out in spring 2020. And I'm taking the Sonia G Cheek Pro brush for this. And I have not set my face or anything, not going to. I do want to add just a little bit more of this Chantecaille stick, specifically under the eyes. So I'm just putting a little bit on my finger. Just going to tap this in. And then one of the things that Bobbi Brown really likes, specifically with this Dusty Rose shade that I have, is to take a little bit on her fingers and she rubs them together and she puts them on top of a powder blush. And then sometimes this balm can be used all over your face or whatever. Right now we're going to start with it here, and we'll see at the end of my makeup today whether we want to put it all over, but I have definitely worn it that way a few days to kind of test how that does. So you can see that this Dusty Rose shade does kind of, when you pat it on with your fingers, you are going to get some pigment from it. It is light and it's sheer, and if you really want, you can get it so that it's almost translucent. For eyes, I'm going to take the best eyeshadow in dark brown from Jones Road, and I'm using the Pencil 2 brush from Sonia G. You can see that it's not really a pointed one, it's more of a domed pencil brush. And I'm just going to put a little bit of this, just kind of tapping it in the outer corner here. And I do not have any primer or anything on my eyes. So I'm wiping the brush on my microfiber cloth, and I'm just going to kind of feather that in. Now I'm going to take a little bit more of that dark brown pigment and I'm going to make it a little bit darker. And this is something that I do often with dark shadow. You kind of want to work in like light layers. So you put it on, you feather it out, and then you add a little bit more to deepen it where you want it. This is something that I saw, I forget, I think it was Katie Jane Hughes actually, when she was using the Jones Road Beauty. That was something she specifically recommended with this particular shadow. Next, I'm taking the Blender Pro from Sonia G, and I don't have any shadow or anything on it. I'm just going to kind of buff this crease area a little bit and drag some of that pigment up. Next, I'm taking the Jones Road Just a Sec eyeshadow, and this is Golden Peach, and I'm going to use my finger for this. I'm just going to tap this on the lid. Actually, this one is, you need to use a little bit of a feathering motion. Just tapping it on, it's not like creamy enough for that, if that makes sense. You know, it's like a little bit of a drier cream. There's a little drag. So I'm putting it all over. I'm just taking the Linda Hallberg 304. I just wanted something, since this is a cream shadow, I wanted to go into the crease a little bit, but I wanted to use like a synthetic or undyed Go brush. So that's the only reason I'm switching brushes. Otherwise, I would have used the Blender Pro again. Now to line the eyes, I'm taking the Byredo color stick, and this is the shade Ultra Magnetic. So we're going to use the Linda Hallberg 333. It's just a synthetic angled liner brush. And I'm just going to get some of the pigment on the brush here. And you can see I'm actually going back and forth and up and down, essentially. So we're going to line the eyes with this. I'm also going to use this in the lower lash line as well. Do a little bit of a wing with this. And I'm putting this on the lower lash line now. I'm going to add a little bit more to the upper lash line just to make it a little bit more pronounced. I see a little bit more of that color. And I'm just trying to sharpen that tip a little bit. Got a little wide there. Now, another thing you can do with the Miracle Balm is you can use it on your eyes. And I'm not going to use it specifically all over my lid, but I am going to use it for the inner corner highlight. Taking the Rephr 03, and I did use this yesterday. I haven't washed it yet, but I'm just going to get a little bit of the Miracle Balm on the brush. And I'm just going to dab this in the inner corner here, just for a little bit of a glisten. So it's not going to be like a major highlight or anything like that, but just the moisture in it should add just a little bit of brightness. I'm going to add just a touch of this right here under the brow, and you can see I didn't rub it in with the brush. I'm going to use my finger for that. And again, it's really just adding highlight from the moisture content. I'm going to finish off my brows with the Wander Beauty Brow Gel, just for something fast and easy today. And let's move on to the Jones Road Mascara. Now with this mascara, it will kind of curl or go in the area that you put it. So you don't need to use a mascara or lash curler before using this. So we're gonna go ahead, and I've tried using the brush this way and this way. I actually prefer to use the more rounded side because I feel like I get fewer clumps that way. So you can actually just hold your lashes up while they're wet. I usually just hold it for a second with the wand instead of using my finger. So there's one coat of it, and you can see that there are some clumps there. They're sticking together a little bit. So I like to take the Tweezerman eyelash comb and comb those out. And this mascara, if you want like super long, lush lashes, go ahead and add more coats of this because it definitely will give you the volume and the length. So that's it for the eyes. You can see the mascara there. And I'm going to move you out. We're going to do lips. So for lips, I want to use the Byredo lipstick. And this color, I have the shade Commuter, and it's okay, but it's a little bit warmer than what I was hoping for. So we're going to use this to kind of line my lips with the Wayne Goss. This is the number 07. It's a lip brush. So I'm going to get some of the lipstick on here. And I really like the formula of these lipsticks. I'm just going to apply this to my lips. All right, so now I'm taking the side of the lip brush and I'm just gonna kind of feather this in a little. So I just wanted to get a very light layer of the lipstick. I actually really love the formula of these. And one of the great things about the Byredo lipstick is this packaging. So it is magnetic and you can see it's curved. So if I try to put the lid on, turned, it actually flips itself. It turns to get the magnet in the right spot. And so you end up with this beautiful curvature here. I think it's gorgeous packaging. It's also very heavy. So I have just a light layer of the Commuter lipstick on from Byredo, and I'm gonna top this with the Cool Gloss. This is the original shade, which is clear from Jones Road. And I think that's gonna be it. We're not gonna add any more of the Miracle Balm today. And let me go ahead and go over each of these products and give you some updated thoughts on these. Let's start with the Byredo. So when I purchased my Byredo items, I picked up two of the color sticks. I have this shade here, which is called Flower Play, and it is almost sheer. It's very, very light. Here is one swatch of it. So in a way, it's kind of like the Miracle Balm from Jones Road, but this is not quite as creamy feeling. So it's a little bit firmer. And you can see obviously it's in a stick form, so it's going to be a bit firmer. But you have the same idea with this where, you can use it on your cheeks for just like a light touch of color and highlight. I intended to use it as blush. It's not super pigmented, so you can use it that way, but it's not great. I would not pick up Flower Play again. I don't think it doesn't add enough pigment. I do like to use it for a touch of color on the lips, but in my opinion, it's not worth purchasing for that purpose. This other one I used today, Ultra Magnetic, and you can see this one's gonna be much more pigmented and it's metallic. You can see like the blue, micro glitter in there. It's a very beautiful color. And I really like this color and I'm happy I picked this one up. Now, when I use this all over my lids, it's a beautiful look. You can really make a nice look and you can smear these out and get it, kind of feathered out, a little dusty, smoky, and it looks beautiful like that on the eyes. I really love the way that looks, but it does crease pretty darn quickly. So like within 20 minutes, you've got creasing. And some people that doesn't bother. I personally don't really like to wear eyeshadow that creases that quickly. So I have relegated this primarily to liner or just for fun when I'm, just kind of playing around with things, but it's not something I would wear on a regular basis all over the lid, which is a shame because I think the color is really nice. But I do like to use it as a liner. And one of the things that I love about using this as a liner, this particular formula, it's so easy to fix if you mess up. I am terrible at wing liner. I actually got really lucky with this one today. It went on easily and, kind of like way better than I expected. But on my left eye, I had lots of issues. I had to keep wiping it away. And this formula, like it doesn't really dry down. So it just wipes away. So it's very easy to fix. And when you put it, over here as a liner, you don't really have the issue of creasing. So I think it works really well for that. Just keep in mind that since the product doesn't dry down, if you do rub your eye or something, that liner is going to go away. So the question, would I purchase any more of the color sticks? I think I'm good with what I have for now, but if they came out with a really beautiful color that was really drawing me in, I'd probably pick it up, but I would go in knowing that it had to either be used for cheeks or eyeliner. So these two color sticks, they do have slightly different formulas. So that's just something to know. And it is noted in the description on the Byredo website, but when you're looking at the different colors, it's not something that's readily noticeable. You have to actually read that description paragraph. So just something to note there. Now the formula difference, you can see we've got more of that sheer balmy texture. This one's a little stickier feeling for flower play versus the ultra magnetic, which is drier. It works better on the eyes, and you can see it's also a lot more pigmented. The other item I have is the lipstick in Commuter, and as I mentioned, I really do like this formula. I love the packaging of this as well. You can see that it's very pigmented and it has a really comfortable balmy texture on your lips. So obviously it's not going to be sheer at all, but it is a beautiful, comfortable feeling. So if you're familiar with the Chantecaille lip cheeks, it's like that, but intensified. One of the things I like about the lip cheeks is that balmy texture is really more sheer. So it's kind of like you've got pigment and sheer properties kind of together. This is pure pigment. So you're definitely going to get a lot of color from it. You can make it a lot lighter like I did today using the lip brush or kind of patting it on. Actually, patting it on directly with the lipstick is more pigmented than what I did today with the lip brush. That's probably the lightest application I have been able to get from it. And, you know, overall, I would definitely pick up more of the lipsticks, but not this shade for me. It's just a little bit too warm, so it doesn't look great when it's built up on my coloring. Moving on to Jones Road, let's discuss the products. And my opinion hasn't changed on most of these. So we've got the Jones Road Cool Gloss and Original. It's a nice basic gloss. It has peppermint oil in it, so you get a little bit of tingling. I don't notice any plumping effect, but that is something that is supposed to be one of the features for this. And I think it's nice, but it's nothing special to me. I would pick up another shade of this and try it out, but the clear one in particular, I think is fine. It's always nice to have clear glosses around to, you know, top and revive a lip product. So I like it for that purpose, but there's nothing special in particular about this. The Jones Road eyeliner, and this is called The Best Pencil, and it's in shade black. It's the only one I believe that they have. I think this is a nice eyeliner. Again, it's a basic eyeliner, but what I like about it is you can get a really nice point on it, and it's not super creamy, but it's not firm to the point where it's tugging on your skin. So it's kind of like that happy medium, and it's a true black. So I do like this eye pencil. I would pick this up again. For the two eyeshadows, the cream shadow and the powder eyeshadow, I would pick up more shades in these to try out. I really like this dark brown one. You know, it's super pigmented and you really kind of want to feather it out, but it's so easy to do a smoky eye with this. And I think it's great for liner as well. And I don't know, I mean, you use it and it's like, oh, there doesn't seem to be anything spectacular about the formula, but there's something about it that makes you just want to keep going back and using it. So there's just something really easy to use about it. And that's what I like about this particular eyeshadow. And I don't know, I mean, again, there's nothing like new or innovative seeming about the texture or anything like that, but it's just super easy to use and it's a really great basic. So I would pick it up. I also really like the tones of this brown, which I feel like it's hard to find. It's a little bit cooler toned brown. And a lot of the ones that come out are going to be either they have a black base, which this doesn't. It really has a dark brown, more of a grayish leaning base, but not like a true black. So it's not going to buff away to black like so many other dark brown shadows. And it also doesn't have that warm base with like the reddish, rusty undertones to it. So I think it's a really nice basic to have. And for me, it's a shade that I particularly really like and would use a lot. So I would pick this up and I would be interested in trying this formula in other shades as well. The cream shadow, this is the Just a Sec eyeshadow in Golden Peach. And I like it. Again, I don't see anything spectacular about the formula in particular, but I think it pairs really well with the other products. And I'm curious to see how the other shades that she comes out with, how they are, because this one's really more of a sheer topper. You're not getting a lot of pigment from the actual shade. Let me just show you this as a swatch. So here it is, and when you actually put it on, you know, you're not getting solid opaque pigment at all. It's really going to be a sheer glisten. So I'm curious to see what else she comes out with, and I think that would be determine whether I pick up more of these or not. I'm interested in picking up more of them, but I would like to see something more opaque. And the mascara. I actually really like the way the mascara looks on my eyes. I think it really does transform my lashes very nicely. And the fact that it's a clean mascara, I think, is very helpful because sometimes some of the perfumes and so forth in mascaras do kind of irritate my eyes. And this one doesn't. I also have not had any flaking or anything. Again, I've only been using this for about a week and a half or so at this point, maybe 2 weeks, somewhere around there. No, a week and a half. So I've used it every day since then, and I haven't had any flaking or drying or anything like that, even when I've had it on for like 15 hours. But the thing that does bother me about it is how messy it is. Just, you can see how much product comes up with it, and the product itself is kind of clumpy. But I feel like once I run through with my eyelash comb, you know, it looks good. And sometimes you put it on, your brush doesn't have like a bunch of clumps on it. It goes on great. Another thing I like about it is it's so easy to build up the volume and the length on this with multiple coats. So I do really like the mascara, but I don't like how chunky the formula itself is. So I'm still on the fence. See, when you put the brush in, how much product just kind of oozes. I'm on the fence as to whether I would pick this up again or not. But the effect on my lashes is so nice that at the moment I'm leaning towards yes. But I want to see how this kind of dries out after like a month or so of using it and see how this product performs then. And on to the Miracle Balm. So the Miracle Balm, you can see that it's kind of like a creamy, moussey kind of texture. It feels more like an ointment. If you're familiar with what is it called? So here's the Dusty Rose shade, Egyptian Magic. If you're familiar with that product, that is a natural, like I think it's beeswax base, and it has essential oils and so forth in it as well. And it's supposed to be like a miracle cure-all type treatment. I've used it before for certain skin issues and so forth. And that's what this product reminds me of. In scent, it has a similar scent, although this one does have a little bit more ginger in it, so I can smell the ginger in it. But other than that, I feel like a lot of the essential oil scents are pretty similar between those two products. And I feel like the texture is similar, except this one will actually get absorbed by your skin, so it doesn't stay tacky. If you put on a lot, it will stay tacky. But if you put it on the way that I applied it today, or, you know, pat it on all over your face, it does not stay tacky at all. It will absorb after 20 minutes to maybe an hour, depending on how dry your skin is. And then you still get that glisten, that shine stays all day, but it does not feel sticky. And one of the things I have to say is that even when you do have it more emollient, your hair does not stick to it. So I really appreciate that about the product. Now, as for the actual color of it, I think it's a nice color. It doesn't provide a lot of pigment. And actually, I've had an allergic reaction on my neck here for about a week or so, maybe a little bit longer. And I've put the Miracle Balm on that when it was really kind of like red and itchy, and it helped. So that was a nice benefit. And because you can kind of shear it out, it didn't really look all pigmented, which was nice as well. Now they do sell this in clear, but they have another shade. There's a tawny shade and a bronze shade as well. And the tawny is the one that Bobbi Brown says is her favorite. And she really likes mixing and matching the shades, using the tawny for my color and using the tawny more as a bronzer and this one more as a blush. And that's kind of how she's recommended that, or mixing the two together and patting them all over. So I do think I'll probably pick up the tawny at some point, but I like the Miracle Balm. And it's not something I'm going to use every day, but when I want a little moisture or a little glow to my face, I do like tapping it all over. Now, one thing I have to note is it has not seemed to be compatible with all of the foundations that I have worn. With most foundations, I haven't had any issue. If I wear a foundation and let's say I have it on for a few hours and then I decide to apply the Miracle Balm later in the day and I tap it on, usually no issues. However, I have noticed issues specifically with the Clé de Peau Radiant Fluid Foundation Matte. So every time I apply this on top of that foundation, if I've already set the Clé de Peau foundation with some powder, I don't usually have issues just patting it on. However, if I do not set the foundation, it breaks up. So I will end up seeing the foundation kind of break up on my skin pretty instantaneously. And again, I haven't noticed that with all of the foundations, but specifically with that one. So I've used it also with the Collagen No Moisture and Aqua as a mix. I've used it with the Chantecaille Future Skin, the Just Skin from Chantecaille as well, and the Chanel Le Beige. I didn't have problems with any of those foundations using the balm all over afterwards, just specifically with this Clé de Peau. So I'm wondering if it has something to do with the fact that there is more of a matte base with that foundation, and perhaps those pigments don't play well with the balm. But it's something to note. And if you have tried it and experienced, breaking up of your foundation, try it with another one, because again, I haven't had issues with everything. Now, I mentioned that I have used this balm in several ways. As I mentioned, I used it to see if it had any healing properties, and that did help. It didn't take away the irritation, completely. I still have a little bit of it here, but it was kind of like a raised scaly patch, kind of like what you would get with eczema. And it did kind of reduce that, and it actually calmed down the redness from that. It made it feel much more comfortable. So that was a good thing. Using this as a blush, as I mentioned, I've used it with a brush and with my fingers, and I think both ways are great. Again, if you're going to use a brush with this, use undyed goat hair or a synthetic brush. I particularly like a synthetic brush with this. You're just going to get a little bit of wash of color. However, if you're using this on top of foundation that is all over your face with a brush, you will probably have some movement. So in that case, I would recommend tapping it on if you're wearing foundation. Using this, you can use this on the eyes, kind of like an eye gloss. I personally don't like that, but it worked fine. Anytime you use an eye gloss, typically any shadow that you have underneath will crease. So keep that in mind. But when Bobbi Brown has shown this used as an eye gloss, she typically doesn't have any shadow on, or she does something like what I did with the dark brown and then use the eye gloss or the balm instead of the Just a Sec eyeshadow, and no real issues with that. Now, I have used this on my lips. It acts as a very light lip balm. It doesn't really give a ton of pigment, and it's not going to stay emollient on the lips for very long because, as I mentioned, this will absorb into the skin. I think probably for me, my favorite way to wear it is either tapped onto my cheeks or a light press all over the skin for a little extra hydration. And as we are transitioning into cooler months, when my skin starts feeling dry during the day, I have been applying just a little bit of it periodically throughout the day, just pressed into my face, and it feels really nice and has not disturbed my makeup aside from that Clé de Peau foundation that I mentioned. So I hope these updates were helpful, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Have a great day.